Pei Heng fell for some girl in Jiangnan. He spent 3 years searching, swearing he would only marry her, and called off our engagement with a single letter. I waited for him all this time. Now I am older, my reputation is ruined, and Madame Pei wants to make me her goddaughter and quickly find me another husband. On my wedding day, after 3 years away, Pei Heng finally returned. Through my red veil, he whispered, "Now that you are married, serve your husband well. Don't ever have any ideas about me." I kept quiet. Later, at a family dinner, he finally saw my face. The always calm young master actually crushed his glass with his bare hand. But the day before my wedding, Madame Pei had called me over. "When we arranged your marriage, Pei Heng was only 2. Even though you have not met all these years, he always knew he had a fiancée back in Linan. He was willing to marry you at first. But who knew 3 years ago in Jiangnan he would suddenly lose his mind? He claimed some girl saved his life, and he absolutely had to find her. Now he writes saying he won't marry anyone else." Hearing this, I instinctively asked, "He's been searching for 3 years. What if she's already married?" She frowned. "That's why he is a fool. He said even if she is married, he would still steal her back." Realizing she had said too much, she stopped, squeezed my hand, and said, "Nianzhu, Lord Ji." Before she could finish, a commotion broke out outside. "Madam, the young master is back." The voices clamored. "Pei Heng is really back." Madame Pei got up quickly, heading for the door. She turned back to me. "Nianzhu, come with me to welcome your brother." I stood up and shook my head. "No, madam, I still have work to do." She froze, then nodded. "All right, go on back." Walking along the corridor, I saw a crowd in the courtyard. In the middle, stood a tall, straight-backed young man in white, hands behind his back. That must be my former fiancé, Pei Heng. I couldn't see his face, but he radiated a cold, aloof aura. What kind of girl could make such a disciplined young master search for 3 years? I suddenly froze in place. Oh, what a beautiful girl. She actually looks a bit like our Miss Shen. It wasn't until the second aunt's sharp voice drifted over that I noticed someone standing beside him. A girl in yellow. They stood a few steps apart but seemed close. Pei Heng looked confused. "Miss Shen? The one from Linan?" "She is marrying tomorrow," Madame Pei explained in a low voice. Pei Heng was surprised. "Married?" He paused. "Very well. Thank you for arranging it, mother." I returned to my courtyard, but soon, an argument broke out right outside my gate. "Brother Pei Heng, I won't let you go in." Luo, stop it. Mother accepted her as my sister, so she is. I just want to say a few words to her." "Sister? What sister? All I know is you two were betrothed. You might not want her, but she is an orphan who climbed into the Pei family. What if she sees how handsome you are and tries to seduce you?" Pei Heng sighed. Luo, I told you, except for that girl, I will never care for another woman. No matter what tricks she uses, it won't work on me." The girl sobbed, sounding deeply hurt. "Brother Pei Heng, you promised me that until you find her, you would only keep me by your side." After a long silence, Pei Heng finally yielded. "Fine, have it your way." She cheered up instantly. "You're the best, brother Pei Heng." Behind the door, my knuckles turned white. The next day, I stepped out, finding him waiting under the corridor. His eyes locked onto me. "Let me carry you." He turned and bent down, but I stood frozen. "You are a daughter of the Pei family now. We are brother and sister. Do you hate me?" I shook my head. "It is not appropriate anymore." "Thank you, brother, but no." Pei Heng straightened up, looking slightly annoyed. "I only wanted to send you off to give you more face in your new home." Before I could speak, a servant rushed over and whispered, "Young master, the young lady has a headache and is begging to see you." Pei Heng said coldly, "Tell her to stop. I'll be right back." "But young master, we can't calm her down." I cut in. "Go to her, brother." Pei Heng frowned, staring through my red veil, and muttered, "Take good care of your husband. Don't harbor feelings for me anymore. We're siblings now. If you ever need help, just ask." I kept silent. He stormed off, and amidst the roaring firecrackers, I moved forward. After the endless rituals, I was finally in the bridal chamber. The red veil was slowly lifted, and I looked up into a pair of smiling eyes. Xie Sheng'an stared at me, frozen for a long moment. Then, he asked gently, "Are you tired?" Flustered, I nodded. He smiled. "Rest well tomorrow, then." I was stunned. In the Pei family, even though I was a nobody, I still had to wake up early every day. Xie Sheng'an added, "You don't have to do that here." My eyes widened. Amused, he smiled. "In this house, you are the rules." I didn't dare refuse, so I quickly nodded. Xie Sheng'an smiled, and he looked incredibly handsome. Honestly, I barely knew him. Our marriage was so sudden. Technically, Pei Heng and I had an arranged childhood marriage. Years ago, his family passed through Linan. Madame Pei fell gravely ill. My mother stayed by her bedside day and night, which exhausted her so much she went into early labor and gave birth to me. Grateful, Madame Pei left a jade pendant, pointing at 2-year-old Pei Heng, saying her debt could never be repaid. Please don't look down on us. Today, I'll arrange this betrothal. This girl will be my child. My mother was kind and never expected anything in return, let alone a wealthy family like the Peis, who were far above our status. But when I was 14, she fell terminally ill. Fearing I would be left alone, she brought up the betrothal. After she passed, I survived by practicing medicine, but local thugs harassed me, nearly ruining my innocence. Out of options, I fled to the capital to find the Peis. Pei Heng was their groomed heir. When I arrived, he was traveling in Jiangnan, and everyone said he was aloof and incredibly disciplined, with no maids near him. I was thrilled and couldn't wait to meet my fiancée. But as household gossip spread, I learned the truth about why he was away. He was searching for a girl who had saved his life. He obsessed over her day and night, unable to sleep, searching for 3 years. Madame Pei sent countless letters urging him to return and marry me, until he finally wrote back last month, swearing he would marry only her and calling off our wedding. Left with no choice, Madame Pei made me her goddaughter, hoping to find me a family of similar status, but families of that caliber knew my background. Besides, girls over 18 in the capital rarely find good matches, and having waited 3 years for Pei Heng, I was already 19. Just as I was about to give up, Xie Sheng'an arrived. Madame Pei stood frozen in disbelief. Lord Xie, do you mean? Madame Pei, I am here to propose to Nianzhu. She turned to look at me behind the curtain. I bit my lip. I'd like to speak with Lord Xie in private. Madame Pei didn't stop me. Lord Xie, I am from Linan. My parents are gone. I am a dependent here, and their eldest son just rejected me. Xie Sheng'an nodded calmly. Miss Shen, I am from the capital. My parents are gone, and I am nearly 30 and unmarried. Doesn't that make us a perfect match? I took a deep breath. Why choose me, Lord Xie? Even if I knew nothing of court politics, I had heard of his reputation. Given his status, every noble family in the capital would gladly marry their daughters to him. What if I say I like you, Miss Shen? I froze, my ears burning as his words sank in. I didn't actually believe him. We had never crossed paths. With his status, he had met countless women. Surely it wasn't love at first sight? He chuckled. I need a wife, and you need a home. Why don't we both get what we need? He paused, looking a bit awkward. Unless, Miss Shen, you mind my age? How could I? No, not at all. You don't mind. He let out a sigh of relief. Since you don't mind, then it's settled. My family is simple, and you will run the household once we marry. My heart fluttered at his words. So I nodded. He wanted a grand wedding, but when I refused, he happily agreed. Even Pei Heng, who just rushed back, probably has no idea I married Xie Sheng'an. Snapping back, I was about to go to sleep. Sitting on the bed, I heard Xie Sheng'an say, Wife, let's sleep. I froze, wondering if he thought I didn't want to fulfill my duties. Blushing, I shook my head. Since we were married, I was ready for whatever he courted. The candle was blown out, and he gently took me into his arms, whispering, Don't be afraid, I will treat you well. From that night, we became a true married couple. In the days that followed, he always protected me fiercely, shielding me from the slightest grievance. The next day, Madame Pei sent word asking me to visit. Since he had planned everything so thoroughly, I couldn't refuse. When I didn't see Xie Sheng'an that morning, my maid Xiao Kui said he had been summoned by the emperor. My husband spent most of his time in the palace. Apparently, even when the emperor had nightmares, he needed him there. I was baffled. What kind of ruler won't even let his minister enjoy his wedding? But gossiping about the emperor is forbidden, so I held my tongue. I warned Xiao Kui to be careful with her words. Fortunately, that night, Xie Sheng'an rushed back before the palace gates locked. I told him about the visit. He fell silent for a moment, then said, I will arrange everything and accompany you. If you are too busy, you don't have to go, I replied, not wanting to trouble him. He sighed and said, Shen Nianzhu, I am your husband. But the day before our visit, Xie Sheng'an sent word that the emperor had detained him. He would have to go straight to the Pei estate the next day. I didn't blame him. Frankly, I was relieved. If he came with me, he would probably make a massive scene, which would be far too troublesome. The next morning, looking at the carriage packed to the brim with gifts, I was stunned. I thought, my husband really is incredibly thoughtful. When I arrived at the Pei residence, Madame Pei was already waiting at the entrance. She peered behind me, and I quietly explained to her that Lord Xie had urgent official business. She pulled me inside, saying gently, Why are you still calling him Lord Xie? Nianzhu, you shouldn't be so distant with your own husband. My heart warmed. Thank you, godmother. Once inside, while I was chatting with Madame Pei, a deep male voice echoed from outside. Is mother here? It was Pei Heng. Before the maid could reply, another announcement came from the courtyard saying, Young master, Lord Xie has arrived. Lord Xie? The Grand Secretary of the Grand Secretariat? Yes, that very lord. Pei Heng was startled but thrilled. Why is he here? Quick, take me to greet him. As their footsteps faded, I couldn't help but wonder. Pei Heng actually didn't know until now that the man I married was Xie Sheng'an, but then again, for some reason, I really didn't want to see him anyway. On the table lay several plates of pastries, so I secretly grabbed a piece of tuckahoe cake and took a small bite. Soon, Madame Pei was holding my hand as we walked out of the courtyard. Oh dear, how did you suddenly get a rash? Don't worry, godmother, I probably just ate something wrong. I will just brew some medicine when I get home. A gust of wind blew, and I adjusted my veiled hat. Looking up, I saw Pei Heng leading Xie Sheng'an our way. Xie Sheng'an looked over, and his eyes darkened. His voice was tense as he asked, "Are you hurt?" I shook my head. No, I probably just ate something wrong. I will be fine once I drink some medicine at home. His expression remained quite grim. Madame Pei smiled and said, "Lord Xie, I treat Nianzhu as my own daughter. If you speak to her so harshly, I won't be happy." Hearing this, Xie Sheng'an cupped his hands. "Madame Pei, please forgive me, I was just anxious." Madame Pei laughed. "Haha. Thanks to Nianzhu, I actually received a polite bow from Lord Xie." Xie Sheng'an smiled warmly and said, "You are an elder, after all." Pei Heng stared at me for a long time, then murmured instinctively, "Even though I can't see her face, my new sister here looks strangely familiar." Xie Sheng'an pulled me closer with a smile asking, "Does young Master Pei have plans to marry? Some of my colleagues have eligible daughters." Pei Heng froze, his expression turning awkward. Everyone in the capital knew he was desperately searching for his lost love. "Lord Xie, you must be joking," Pei Heng said. He glanced at me again and added, "Since you and my sister are so close, and I missed your wedding, I will just wish you a long and happy marriage. I will send the wedding gift to your estate another day." Where on earth did he see that Xie Sheng'an and I were close? I instinctively turned to look at my husband, only to see him nod and smile. Even after we boarded the carriage, my face was still burning. But Xie Sheng'an didn't plan on letting me off. "Take it off," he said. For some reason, he seemed angry. I slowly took off my veiled hat, looked down, and whispered, "I am sorry." "Raise your head." He replied, "I am fine, my lord. I will just brew some medicine at home." The next second, he gently lifted my chin. "Shen Nianzhu," he whispered, letting out a soft sigh, "why are you apologizing?" I remained silent. Madame Pei was good to me, but spending 3 years depending on others had trained me to apologize first. He stared quietly at my face and asked, "Does it hurt?" "No, it's just an allergy to the tuckahoe." Understanding dawned on me. Xie Sheng'an let go of my chin and said, "Shen Nianzhu, not just in the Xie household, but in the entire capital, you never have to endure any mistreatment. You can see whoever you want to see and decline whoever you don't. Talk to whoever you like, and ignore whoever you don't. Your body doesn't just belong to you, I will never allow you to harm yourself." I stared at him blankly. After a moment, his voice grew low and deep. "Shen Nianzhu, I must punish you." I froze, and before I could react, he pulled me tightly into his arms. He didn't do anything inappropriate. He just held me close and mumbled, "If you ever ignore your well-being again, I will truly be furious." It turned out his idea of punishment was just because he was terrified I would suffer. Beneath his huffy tone was nothing but raw, undeniable affection. The next morning, when I woke up, Xie Sheng'an was still lying beside me. My eyes widened in pure disbelief. "My lord?" Xie Sheng'an pulled me back into his chest, his voice thick with sleep. I requested 3 days of wedding leave from the emperor. Just as I finally relaxed, I saw him suddenly open his eyes. "What did you just call me?" "My low husband." Good girl. Sleep with me for a bit longer." I didn't dare move. They said we had 3 days of leave, but by the second day, an urgent summons arrived from the palace, claiming the emperor was ill. Xie Sheng'an looked incredibly annoyed. What an exhausting ruler. After a moment, he grabbed my hand and said, "Your husband has to go. If anything happens, send word to me." I nodded with a smile, but secretly let out a sigh of relief. For the past 2 days, he had been constantly by my side, catering to my every whim. This kind of intense tenderness was actually hard for me to get used to. Not long after Xie Sheng'an left, news came from the Pei household that Madame Pei's chronic cough had flared up again. It was an old illness that even my own mother couldn't cure. During my years at the Pei estate, whenever she had an episode I would use acupuncture to ease her pain. I packed my things and boarded the carriage to the Pei estate. It didn't take long for Madame Pei to feel much better. She held my hand and sighed, "Nianzhu, what would I do without you?" Pei Heng is truly a fool. Seeing me remain silent, she asked, "Is Lord Xie good to you?" I nodded. "Since he is older than you, he will surely know how to cherish you. But since he holds so much power, make sure you never cross him, treat him with utmost politeness." I froze. Politeness? Xie Sheng'an didn't seem to like that at all. But what exactly did he actually like? I didn't know, nor did I dare to ask. My birthday is coming up in a few days, Madame Pei continued. I am only inviting a few friends in the capital. Nianzhu, you should come too, to keep me company. I nodded, yes, of course. After chatting a bit more, Madame Pei grew tired. Since I knew the Pei estate very well, I dismissed the servants and left on my own. Just as I stepped out of the courtyard, I heard a sharp shout, "Who are you?" I looked up and saw a beautiful face. It was Lu Luoluo, the girl Pei Heng had brought home. She stared intently at my face. "Who are you? Why are you so rude in the Pei house?" Annoyance flared up inside me. Then, I remembered Xie Sheng'an's word. If you don't want to talk to someone, just ignore them. I couldn't help but smile, turned, and started to walk away. But Lu Luoluo chased after me and shoved me hard. "You ungrateful wretch, how dare you ignore me?" Caught off guard, I fell to the ground. Immediately after a deep male voice snapped. "Fighting in public? What is the meaning of this?" I looked up into a pair of cold dark eyes. Pei Heng froze instantly. Lu Luoluo grabbed his arm, whining, "Brother Pei Heng, my head hurts, please take me back." Snapping out of his daze, Pei Heng extended a trembling, elegant hand to me. "Miss, are you all right?" But Lu Luoluo clung to him tightly. "I am not fine. I am not fine at all." Ignoring them, I pushed myself up from the ground. I was never one to let others bully me. Since she pushed me first, I let my anger take over. Raising my hand, I delivered a sharp slap across Lu Luoluo's delicate cheek, sending her face twisting to the side. I didn't want to waste time arguing, so I turned to leave. Coming to her senses, Lu Luoluo shrieked and grabbed Pei Heng tightly. "She slapped me. How dare she slap me? You are not allowed to go after her." "You can't." "Shut up," Pei Heng snapped, furious. "Someone, take Miss Lu back. She is not to step out of her courtyard without my permission." But Lu Luoluo held on tightly, unwilling to waste my breath. No point wasting breath on them, so I just left. As soon as the carriage stopped and I stepped through our gates, my maid Xiao Kui rushed over in a panic. "Madam, an important guest is here. I sent someone to find master, but the guest specifically wants to see you." I nodded to comfort her and stepped inside. Immediately, a high-pitched voice snapped. "Impudent. Kneel before the emperor." I knelt to pay my respects. Then came another voice, "Raise your head and let us see you." This other voice was commanding but still sounded a bit childish. I raised my head but kept my eyes cast down. Suddenly, he gasped. "Wait, Sister Shen. What are you doing here?" The voice above instantly turned to pure delight. I looked up and met a pair of incredibly bright eyes. "You?" I gasped. "Impudent. How dare you speak His Majesty's name? You useless servant, shut your mouth. Sister Shen is my savior." I froze in shock. The boy I had treated and saved 3 years ago was actually the emperor. Yu rushed down and helped me up. "Sister Shen, what are you doing in the Prime Minister's home?" I had no idea Xie Sheng'an was so close to the emperor. "Good grief," Yu muttered. "The legendary Madame Xie who has my tutor so whipped he ignores me. Don't tell me that's you, sister?" I had absolutely no idea how to answer that. I bit my lip. Yu whined. "Sister Shen, when I asked my tutor to help me marry you, he went and married you himself. I used to be jealous of you for taking his time. Now I have to be jealous of him." I felt even more cornered. "Sister Shen, you are so young and gorgeous. How could you marry that old fogey? Tell me, is he always super mean and strict with you?" I shook my head without thinking. I knew Xie Sheng'an had a terrifying reputation out there, some even called him ruthless and cold-blooded. But since we married, he had been incredibly gentle and sweet to me. "Sister Shen, you are shaking your head. Does that mean he treats you badly? If he's terrible, just divorce him and come to the palace with me." Before he could finish, a familiar voice echoed from the door. "Who exactly is your majesty trying to divorce?" Xie Sheng'an walked in, pulling me protectively to his side as he stared at Yuan Yu. Yuan Yu chuckled nervously. "Ah, Master Xie. You are back. I finally visited, but you weren't home. I was just telling Sister Shen I'd take her to find you." He looked at me with pure, innocent eyes, acting as if he hadn't just tried to break us up. Xie Sheng'an gave a dry smile. "Did your majesty not intentionally lure me away?" Yuan Yu avoided his gaze. "Master C, you always teach me to keep a straight face, yet look at how worked up you are." Xie Sheng'an replied in a perfectly flat tone. "Well, when the emperor comes into my home to tell my wife I am a mean, tyrannical old fogey, am I not allowed to defend myself?" He actually heard everything. I peeked at the young emperor, who was now awkwardly staring at the ceiling. Thank goodness I didn't say anything bad about him. Lately, rumors were flying around the capital that young Master Pei had finally found his dream girl, but remembering how rude he had been to me, I couldn't help but frown. When Lady Pei's birthday came around, Xie Sheng'an insisted on coming along. I teased him, saying the ladies wouldn't be able to gossip freely if he was there. Pei Heng's father, General Pei, was away guarding the border. The main branch of the Pei household only had Lady Pei and Pei Heng. Plus, my husband didn't seem close to him anyway. I can just wait in the carriage, he said, squeezing my hand. I laughed. I am not a little kid. People will laugh at us. He finally gave in. The banquet was at noon, and I arrived 30 minutes early, yet I was somehow the very last guest to show up. I was incredibly embarrassed, but Lady Pei warmly pulled me down next to her. Even though your marriage to Master C was quiet, everyone in this city is sharp as a needle, she whispered. The other ladies were old friends, and the room quickly filled with lively chatter. Suddenly, one lady smiled and offered me a toast. Lady Pei blocked it, saying, "Our Nianzhu cannot drink." The lady glanced suggestively at my stomach. I flushed red, realizing she had totally misunderstood, which made me think of last night when we were close. Xie Sheng'an had placed his large hand on my stomach, whispering hoarsely, "Nianzhu, do you think we already have a baby in here?" While the ladies laughed and teased, a deep voice called out, "Ladies, what is so funny? Am I interrupting the fun?" A beaming Pei Heng walked inside. He turned to Lady Pei. "Happy birthday, mother." As he spoke, his eyes caught mine. The next second, he dropped the wooden box in his hand, shattering it on the floor. The room went dead silent. Lady Pei looked at me in confusion, then back at her son. Pei Heng snapped out of it, quickly looking away. Staring at the shattered jade hairpin, he forced a laugh. "My apologies, mother. It was a rare hairpin, but my hand slipped. It is fine, I know your heart is in the right place. A mother always knows." Exactly, shattered pieces bring peace and safety. Young Master Pei seems incredibly stubborn about the things he likes, that same talkative lady joked. Pei Heng looked down. His expression turned incredibly complicated. True, how many true loves do we get in a lifetime? When you find her, you must cherish her. Then, his quiet gaze settled on me. This lady looks unfamiliar. Which family is she from? Lady Pei looked even more bewildered. This is Madame Xie. Pei Heng froze, whispering under his breath. So she is Madame Xie. How on earth did I not realize? Isn't she the very fiancé who waited 3 years for me? Mother, you have truly done a wonderful deed. I frowned. What kind of madness was he speaking? Our past wasn't exactly a secret among the wealthy elite, but his dramatic behavior today was completely uncalled for. I heard young Master Pei is also having a wedding soon, one of the ladies chimed in to break the tension. Pei Heng paused, then burst into a wild laugh. Right. She was supposed to be mine anyway. With that, he turned and walked out. Fortunately, he was just talking crazy, so I ignored him. 2 days later, Lady Pei sent a letter saying her cough had flared up again. It shouldn't be recurring this frequently, which made me anxious. Seeing this as he prepared to head to court, Xie Sheng'an smiled. Wife, with your skills, why not open a clinic? My eyes widened in surprise. Can I really? He stared at me, gently stroking my cheek. Why not? You are the boss of this house. Who knows, if I ever anger the emperor, I might have to rely on my wife to feed me. Stop joking. He was teasing me again. On our second day of marriage, he handed me the keys to his private treasury enough to fund 100 lifetimes. Nianzhu, I am serious. As long as you want to do it, I met his earnest gaze. Aren't you afraid people will mock you? Mock me for what? A prominent chancellor's wife showing her face in public to run a clinic and even having to attend to commoners. Xie Sheng'an gently stroked my hair. I have never cared about what others think, and neither should you. But no male patients allowed. I will get jealous. You can only treat female patients. My ears burned as I pushed him toward the door. Just go. Do not keep the emperor waiting. I have something to tell you when you return. Xie Sheng'an sat down, spreading his robes. He laughed. Oh, my wife wants to talk to me? Then I must hear it first. For a man so dignified, he could be incredibly playful. I turned to leave. Official business comes first. But before I could move, he grabbed my hand and pulled me into his arms. Nianzhu, you are my most important business. My face flushed even redder as I squirmed out of his embrace. Have you no shame? I rushed out of the room, leaving Xie Sheng'an chuckle behind me. At the Pei Manor, I entered Lady Pei's room as usual. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind me. Pei Heng stepped out from behind a screen. Shen Nianzhu, I have searched for you for 3 whole years. I frowned in confusion. Why were you looking for me? Then I froze as the realization hit me. The person he had been desperately searching for was me. Pei Heng stared at me, his throat bobbing. 3 years ago outside Qiantang City, you risked the torrential rain to save my life. I was deeply grateful, and I have thought about you ever since. I frowned. I am a doctor. Saving lives is what I do. Besides, I was just passing by. You really do not need to be so emotional. Pei Heng suddenly stepped closer, grabbing my wrist tightly. His expression was pained. But my feelings for you are completely real. Stop right there. I pried his hand off and took a step back. Young Master Pei, I am a married woman. Your mother is my godmother, which makes you my godbrother. He interrupted loudly. We had a betrothal since childhood. What is this nonsense about siblings? I was getting annoyed. What exactly do you want? Pei Heng stood tall, staring intently at me. I want to apologize for delaying our wedding and making you wait in the capital alone for 3 years. If I had known it was you, I would have never made you wait a single. Thank goodness it is not too late, Pei Heng urged. Divorce Xie Sheng'an so we can marry. I shook my head. Never. Are you afraid of him? He asked. Or do you love him? I froze. Afraid of Xie Sheng'an? Maybe I used to be, but not anymore. Actually, I have a score to settle with him. As for love, I could not say. Meanwhile, Pei Heng kept pressing. Nianzhu, do not worry, I will handle everything. Just divorce him, and I will marry you. Before I could speak, the door burst open. A familiar icy voice cut right through the room. Master Pei has some nerve, coveting my wife. Xie Sheng'an sneered, his face dark as he stared inside. My hand twitched inside my sleeve. He did not say another word. He walked straight over, grabbed my wrist, and stared at the red mark. I tried to pull away, but he held on tightly. Does it hurt? I shook my head. My skin is delicate, bruising at the slightest touch. That was why he was always so gentle. Suddenly, Xie Sheng'an pulled me into his chest, glaring coldly at Pei Heng. For the general's sake, I will let you slide this one time. But if there is a next time, do not blame me for what happens. Xie Sheng'an guided me out. Behind us, Pei Heng roared in anger. Shen Nianzhu, do you think he is a good man? You are an orphan. How could someone like him ever truly love you? My fingers trembled, but Xie Sheng'an held my hand in a tight, unyielding grip as we boarded the carriage. He sneered, he is nothing but a lustful, dishonest scoundrel. I yanked my hand away. And what about you? Xie Sheng'an froze. What do you mean? I repeated, my voice dropping to a whisper. It is obvious Pei Heng is just after my looks. But what about you? What are you plotting? Who are you to judge? The silence inside the carriage became deafening. Once we got home, I ignored him and stepped down first. Xiaokui rushed over to meet me. Madam, our special guest is back, and he insists on seeing you. Yuan Yu looked incredibly thrilled to see me. Sister Shen, I finally found you. Then, he noticed Xie Sheng'an behind me. Oh, Lord Xie is here too. Xie Sheng'an replied flatly. Your Majesty, this is my wife and my home. You are a busy emperor, so please stop meddling in my domestic affairs. No, Lord Xie, you misunderstand. Pei Heng lodged a complaint saying you stole his fiancée. I thought it was a simple lover's quarrel, but General Pei just won a major battle on the border and I cannot disappoint him. Xie Sheng'an sneered. My marriage to my wife was low-key, but it was a proper, legitimate, and fully legal wedding. Yuan Yu sighed helplessly. Lord Xie, I may be young, but I know 3 is a crowd. One person is always extra. How about this? I take Sister Shen to live in the palace. Deal, I said. Absolutely not. Xie Sheng'an snapped. We spoke together. He turned to me, his steady face showing a trace of disbelief and hurt. But what did he have to be hurt about? I must have imagined it. Avoiding his gaze, I bowed to Yuan Yu. Your Majesty, I would be glad to join you in the palace. On my 3rd day there, word arrived. Xie Sheng'an had been assassinated and was gravely wounded. Yuan Yu was furious, and within 4 hours, Pei Heng was arrested. When Madame Pei saw me, she nearly fainted. Nianzhu, you must save him. Xiaokui also sent word that Xie Sheng'an was still in a deep coma. I felt a sudden, irritating pang of worry. Why did I care? My pleas are useless, but you can beg Lord Xie. He chose to marry you, so he must love you. Or beg the emperor. He brought you here himself, didn't he? He tried to assassinate a high official. That is not something a woman like me can interfere with. Madame Pei slapped my hand away. Shen Nianzhu, you are just making excuses. You simply refused to help my son. I raised you for 3 years for nothing. My poor boy searched for you desperately for 3 whole years, yet you are so heartless, driving him to do something so foolish. I slowly clenched my fists. So, last time, you set me up on purpose? She sneered coldly. Pei Heng is my only son. Even if I despise you, I had to help him. But you are utterly ungrateful. How is my son inferior to Xie Sheng'an? It is all your fault, Shen Nianzhu. You should just die along with him. The maids dragged her away, but she continued to shriek like a lunatic and curse. I only gave her a freezing look. Madame Pei, do not forget you owe my mother your life. From this moment on, we are completely even. I asked Yuan Yu to send me back to the Xie estate. He looked deeply hurt. Sister Shen, you chose him after all. I sighed. Your Majesty, could you be serious for once? Yuan Yu flushed with embarrassment at being exposed, the tips of his ears turning bright red. He cleared his throat twice. Forget it. Lord Xie is getting up there in years and deserves some pity. I rushed back to the Xie estate that very night. He lay unconscious under heavy blankets. Sitting by his bed, I touched his hand. It used to be always so warm, but now it felt terrifyingly cold. My heart ached, tears stinging my eyes. Xie Sheng'an, you still have not answered my question. I will not let you allow you to just sleep like this. 3 years ago, when I treated Yuan Yu, he had a masked bodyguard who watched my every move in silence. Before I left, he offered me 3,000 taels of silver. I refused. I had smiled and said, "This house call is free, no charge." Through his mask, he stared at me for the longest time. When Yuan Yu first visited our home, I suspected that guard was Xie Sheng'an. Later, I became sure of it. The moment my engagement was called off, he proposed. He said Pei Heng was just after my looks, but what about him? Looking at his pale face, my voice cracked with tears. Xie Sheng'an, if you do not tell me, I will. Suddenly, his fingers squeezed mine back. A quiet sigh sounded right by my ear. Shen Nianzhu, you finally said my name right. I froze, realizing what was happening. As I tried to pull away, he gripped my hand even tighter. My lord, you are awake? He let out a soft sigh, but I wish I had not woken up. In my dreams, my wife called my name so gently and cared for me. She is beautiful, brilliant, and strong and so kind. I simply cannot control my feelings for her. He squeezed my palm gently. Nianzhu, I do not like you treating me like a stranger. After a quiet pause, I spoke again. Xie Sheng'an, you still have not answered me. A slow smile touched his lips, his voice raspy and soft. I am no saint. With you I fell for your looks and jumped at the chance to marry you. You are beautiful, brilliant, strong, and kind. I simply could not control myself. Yuan Yu shamelessly devoured the porridge I had made for Xie Sheng'an. Sister Shen, your cooking is incredible. If I could eat this daily, I would surely become a great emperor. Xie Sheng'an massaged his temples. Your Majesty, visit my home less and focus more on state affairs if you want to be a great emperor. Yuan Yu giggled mischievously. Then maybe I should just take Sister Shen with me. Xie Sheng'an sneered. So, your Majesty has not given up? Yuan Yu slammed his bowl down. Why should I? I met Sister Shen when I was 7. You did not meet her until you were 27. By seniority, I am way ahead. Besides, you have a troublemaking rival and I do not. How am I not a better fit? Stealing her by force is completely unreasonable. Xie Sheng'an snorted. No wonder your Majesty's recent essays have been, so you are slacking off because you spend all your energy reading novels. I say you should write more. Yuan Yu quickly clutched his chest, pretending to be in agonizing pain, pleading, do not do this. Oh, Lord Xi, I am only 10. How can you be jealous of a kid like me? I work so hard every night, and this is my only little hobby. Empress Dowager, you actually want to confiscate them? Sister Shen, how can you stand such an unreasonable husband? My jaw practically dropped, and I could not say a single word. I knew he loved acting, but I never expected him to be such a drama queen. I stole a glance at Xie Sheng'an and unexpectedly met his gaze. My face flushed, and I quickly looked down. Ever since he woke up and confessed to me, seeing him always feels a bit awkward. Oh well, whatever, I am a good kid who respects the old and loves the young. Yuan Yu sighed, looking at me expectantly. Sister, do you have other sisters? Direct, cousins, or even neighbors would do. I want to find a substitute too. If you really do not have any, you and Lord Xie must work hard to give birth to one for me. Xie Sheng'an's brow twitched as he muttered nonsense. The little emperor continued, Lord Xi, you are 10 years older than Sister Shen, and she did not even reject you. I am also only 10 years older than your future daughter. How can you have the nerve to reject me? Are you just jealous because I am younger, more handsome, and higher status? And more humorous and likable than you? Xie Sheng'an really could not take it anymore. He snapped at the little eunuch beside Yuan Yu. Xiao Fuzi, if the emperor reads those trashy novels again, I will hold you all accountable. The terrified eunuch knelt instantly, crying, Lord Xi, we would not dare even with 10 times the courage. Yuan Yu stared with wide eyes in disbelief. Lord Xi, are you trying to rebel? Xie Sheng'an could not stay in bed anymore. He stood up, grabbed my hand, and walked straight out as the emperor cried wildly behind us, Lord Xi, you cannot abandon me and our country just for a woman. A month later, Pei Heng was directly banished to the remote border, forbidden from returning to the capital for life. General Pei had always guarded the border, and Mrs. Pei knelt for 3 days, insisting on following him. Before leaving, he tried to see me multiple times, but I refused. In the end, he sent a letter. I did not even look at it, directly telling Xiao Kui to burn it to ashes. Who was right or wrong no longer matters. Xie Sheng'an's health fully recovered, and he took 3 days off, saying he wanted to stay home and make up for our honeymoon. We did not even step out, just reading and drinking tea, making up for lost time. As I leaned against, he gently patted my back and said softly, when the old emperor faced a rebellion, my father and brother died in battle. I secretly went south to rescue the emperor, not daring to show my face. I did not expect him to be poisoned. When you saved him, we feared we would drag you down, since killers were right behind us. I was stunned. Then why did you not just kill me to silence me? He laughed softly, rubbing his chin against my head, and said, my wife is so beautiful, smart, brave, and kind. How could I bear to do that? Feeling both amused and angry, I kicked his arm gently. You only know how to say sweet words to make me happy. He smiled and held me tighter. These are all facts. I can never get enough of looking at my wife.